People often ask me, Matt, what is a team? And I tell them a team is a type of organisational group that is composed of members who are interdependent, who share common goals, and who must coordinate their activities to accomplish these goals.
Right you are, Jake, and teams lead to many desirable outcomes such as greater productivity, more effective use of resources, better decisions and problem solving, better quality products and services, and greater innovation and creativity.
Well, and today we're here to take a sneak peek into a team at work with a focus on team leadership.
It must be challenging to lead a team to achieve their goals, given the range of personalities and contexts that a team may operate in.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. But there are several mental models available to assist team leaders to make leadership decisions and monitor team effectiveness. And one of those models is the HIL model of team leadership.
Spot on, Jake. HIL's model for team leadership provides a framework in which to study the systematic factors that contribute to a team's outcomes and general effectiveness. Within this approach, the main function of the leadership is to help the team accomplish its goals by monitoring and diagnosing the team and taking appropriate action. The model is useful in helping the leader make decisions. Should the leader act? If so, how should they act?
Well, that's correct, Matt. For those at home, an example is if a team is not performing effectively, then the leader can make the first strategic choice by monitoring the situation or acting to improve team functioning. If an action seems warranted, then the leader needs to decide whether the action should be directed inwards toward team functioning, outward toward the team environment, or both.
Sure, Jake. And once the content for the action is determined, then the leader needs to choose the most appropriate skill for the situation based on his or her behavioural repertoire. It's important to continue monitoring the results of the intervention and adapting accordingly, depending on how the results go.
Well, let's take a look at HIL's model now.
As you can see up on screen, it's a cognitive map that helps the leader to make decisions to ensure team effectiveness. Leadership decisions might be to monitor a situation and not intervene at all, or to take action.
And the action needs to be appropriate for the situation. Does the situation require task or relational action, both of which are considered internal leadership actions, or an environmental action, which is an external leadership action?
Task includes, does the group need to focus on goals, structuring for results, help facilitating decisions, training, or maintaining standards.
Yeah, whereas relational includes coaching, collaborating, managing conflict, building commitment, satisfying needs, and modelling principles.
Environmental action involves networking, advocating, negotiating for support, buffering, assessing, and sharing information.
And then, of course, there's team effectiveness.
For the viewers at home, though, what is team effectiveness, Jake?
Well, Matt, team effectiveness focuses on team excellence or the desired outcomes of teamwork.
Yes, and the enabling conditions of group effectiveness, as listed by Hackman, are compelling purpose, having the right people, having the right team, clear norms of conduct, supportive organisational context, and team-focused coaching.
Well, and Larson and LaFasto state that team excellence requires a clear elevating goal, results-driven structure, competent team members, unified commitment, collaborative climate, standards of excellence, external support and recognition, and principled leadership.
So really, team leaders and team members can use the model to help themselves make better decisions about the current state of the team and the specific actions they need to take, if any, to improve the functioning of the team.
Yeah, well, determining the exact intervention is not as easy as it sounds, however, and it clearly reflects the skills necessary for team leadership.
Very true. Okay, let's cross over to our team on the ground at Billsberries to see how the teams work in the real animated world.
Bill's Berries. Everyone loves Bill's Berries.
They sure do, Jake. It used to be known as John and Bill's Berries originally. John Bill's Berries, but they changed their name when John left to pursue an academic career.
Well, I wonder what state he's left it in. There seems to be a problem going on here. They don't look happy.
Yes, there could be some infighting for power and control happening here. What does Hill's model say, though?
Well, this could be an internal relationship problem because of the authoritarian and autocratic behaviour of a team member.
Or perhaps it's an internal task problem because the structure of the team is not quite clear.
It could even be an external environmental problem because the team hasn't been given sufficient autonomy from the organisation and they're fighting over what little power exists. Storming, perhaps?
The old forming, storming, norming, performing and adjourning stages of team development, as proposed by Tuckman.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think the team leader has elected just to monitor that situation for now.
Yeah, Matt, not a bad idea, really. Taking action too early can have quite poor results for the team. We've seen these types of situations managed too quickly, and they can often end up messier than last year's office Christmas party.
Jake, I don't remember it being that messy though.
My point exactly. Anyway, let's see how this turns out.
Okay, a picket line has formed outside. I think there's trouble brewing here, Jake.
Yes, trouble brewing, and I think we now know why that lady didn't appear happy in the meeting. Let's cut back to the office and see what's happening. This is turning out to be a real doozy, Matt.
And here we see that the team leader needs to take some decisive action now. But what is the problem, and what does HAO-HUA's model say?
Well, we've just been informed that the picket line has been formed because the workers have been told that they're going to be made redundant due to the inability to export their berries into the international market.
What a complicated issue. Clearly there is a team performance issue here. The team is not being effective because there is conflict within the team, and now it's spread to the workers. Let's start with the office team. I think we're looking at a relational and possibly an environmental problem here, Jake. The lady has apparently been trying to advise her colleagues consistently of the issue, but communication has broken down, and that's a relational issue as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've also just been informed that the company has not renewed their quarantine license to enable the export of their berries, hence the risk of closure.
Oh, wow. Look, this leader needs to remedy this by addressing the communication breakdown right now. Perhaps this could have been avoided if the team leader was more in tune with the situation.
Yeah, and well, that's why using the HAO-HUA's model of team leadership is effective in helping leaders.
Look, there may be more to this issue, Jake. Let's cut across to the production line where the berries are being packaged right now.
It appears that the new packaging staff don't really understand the process of preparing the product for export. There's a task and a relational problem here. Task because the staff need training to understand how to do their job effectively. And relational because the team leader needs to build commitment with the new staff and manage the conflict that has arisen because of the lack of staff training provided. What about the loading bay staff? No, the staff appear happy, Matt.
Yes, but looks can be deceiving, Jake. Sure, they look happy, but they're not doing any productive work. Obviously, they are underperforming and the team leader needs to address the situation really quickly. What could be the issue causing the underperformance though?
Well, our surveying has uncovered that staff are not able to do any work because the fuel provider has not been delivering any fuel. I wonder if this has been communicated with management.
Well, we clearly have an environmental issue, a task issue, and a relational issue. Environmental because an external company has not delivered fuel and this needs to be addressed. The task issue because the staff have not been set other goals to work towards when this type of thing happens. And relational because there is an obvious communication breakdown between staff and the leaders. Also, these individuals are not showing any commitment to their goal of loading trucks because they're not doing anything productive to address this fuel shortage.
Yeah, well, external networking with other fuel providers may have helped to avoid this type of thing too. You know, I've done quite a bit of networking in the past.
Well, Jake, I think they call that speed dating where I come from.
Cutting back to the office, and we can see that the team leader has stabilised the office situation through managing conflict. Staff appear focused and working, hopefully addressing the issues raised by the downstream staff.
Absolutely. Communication had really broken down in all divisions, and it looks as though management had not been aware of any of the problems, which means that their team has not been effective and it needs to develop further.
Yeah, certainly. The future of Bill's Berries depends on it.
Yes, Jake, Bill's berries are certainly on the line here.
Checking the situation at the dock, and it appears that the team leader has engaged management who have successfully renegotiated an arrangement with Australian Quarantine, and they've renewed their licence. This external action has addressed a major problem Bill's Berries was facing. Now, hopefully, the team leader is working through the internal actions required to stabilise the company.
Well, scenes back at the office seem to be much more jubilant. The team leader has utilised HAO-HUA's model to identify appropriate action and monitor team effectiveness. Task issues were addressed by goal focusing, structuring for results, and providing training to those packing staff. Relational issues were addressed through managing the conflict within the organisation and building more commitment, collaboration, and providing coaching.
Yeah, and external environmental issues were addressed through negotiating support and sharing information with external organisations, such as the Australian Quarantine and Fuel Supplies Australia.
Yes, and it appears the workers will keep their jobs after all, so the picket line has disappeared, except for that one guy, which I'm not quite sure what he's doing.
Well, it's been interesting to observe a team in action and more specifically observe how HAO-HUA's team leadership model can be used to identify issues and address them appropriately whilst assessing team effectiveness and development.
That's right, Jake. A good result all round this week. So stay tuned for the next edition where we observe team leadership in action at Cohen's Poultry Farm.
Well, maybe we'll discover that the chicken crossed the road because it was an organisational goal of his brood team.
Indeed, Jake. Good night.
Good night.